This demo theater of the Esri Developer Summit is titled Do More with Basemaps. I'm Andy Green and I'm joined by Zara Matheson. Basemaps set the stage for your layers. In this session, you will learn about the new tools with Basemaps that allow you to change the colors, add layers, and provide tips on using the vector tile style editor. We'll also provide an overview of the Esri Vector Basemap offerings, as well as information how you can manage your own custom created basemaps. Let's get started with the overview. Basemaps in the ArcGIS platform are ready to use in a variety of map styles. They serve as a foundational layer in your applications, and the content is available at multiple scales, using authoritative data from commercial, open source, and community contributions. The basemaps are customizable by design, where you can change colors, patterns, and labels to meet your organization's unique needs. Basemaps can be quickly added to your applications, whether they are for the web, mobile, or desktop applications. We also offer basemaps in localized content in a number of languages and boundary depictions. This collection of Esri vector basemaps is available in the Basemap gallery of ArcGIS Online. Some maps may be familiar to you, such as street map, topographic map, ocean basemap, light and dark canvas, and navigation styles. Additional creative styles add interest with maps, such as charted territory, colored pencil, newspaper, or the Nova style. The benefit with vector basemaps is these styles can be easily modified to meet your needs, or you can create your own custom cartography through JSON editing or the Esri Vector Tile Style Editor. We'll show you the style editor later in this demo. These Esri Vector basemaps are available in a variety of languages. The maps can be accessed by changing the language and region settings in your organization or online account. They can also be accessed as individual map layers. This map is the topographic style in German, the navigation style in Spanish, and this last example is charted territory in Japanese. The content is translated globally at the small scale and where available at the larger scales. Localization is not limited to languages. This map shows the global presentation of our basemaps, but through JSON editing, users can present select boundaries in their preferred view, such as this change in style for India. More information about localization can be found in the Esri Vector reference document. There is a link at the end of this slide deck. In addition to Esri source vector basemaps, we also provide OpenStreetMap vector basemaps. These tiles are created and updated from a replica of the OpenStreetMap database. There is a map styled in the traditional OSM cartography, but we also have created a handful of additional styles using the OSM data. These styles include OSM with relief, an Esri street map style using the OSM data, as well as light and dark canvas styles. These maps can also be customized using the Esri style editor, and we'll show you how later in this presentation. A quick note on some Basemap road ahead items. We have a couple beta layers available now. One is our topographic style with vector contours. This is a multi-source vector basemap where the style is referencing two different tile sets through a single JSON style. The other item are places or points of interest that will be added to the basemaps. Next up is Zara Matheson with information on creating and maintaining your own vector basemaps.
While Esri provides a wide variety of out-of-the-box basemap options, there are still times when a user may want to publish and maintain their own custom basemap. In this part of the presentation, I'll go over some of the recent enhancements in ArcGIS Online for managing and updating your own vector tile layers. I'll also go over the new layer blending options available in the map viewer that will allow you to combine your own basemap layers with existing Esri basemaps in new and unique ways. So why focus on vector basemaps? Vector tile layers deliver the map as vector files in PBF format, which have a smaller file size than raster tiles, resulting in faster maps and better performance. This reduces the time required to generate the tiles, as well as the cost to store and serve them. They also adapt to the display resolution of any device, and as we saw earlier, users can generate multiple map styles from a single set of vector tiles. To publish your own vector basemap to ArcGIS Online, first author your map in ArcGIS Pro. There are a number of design considerations to keep in mind when creating a basemap for publication as a vector tile layer, including avoiding complex symbols and reducing data density by limiting the visible scale ranges. These and more are well documented in the Pro documentation, which is a very useful resource when designing your first basemap. Once the map is authored, you can publish a vector tile layer directly from ArcGIS Pro to your organization, or build the vector tile package in Pro, add it to Online, and publish the layer from the package. Once your vector tile layer is published to Online, you have the option to use it as an operational layer or as a basemap layer, or further enhance it by combining it with an Esri reference layer or hillshade layer. You can also change the sharing settings to share it with your organization, different groups, or with the public. If you want to allow your layer to be downloaded and used in an offline map, you can enable offline mode from the Item Details settings page. Just as you can with Esri vector basemaps, you can create different versions of your own vector basemap using the vector tile style editor. The style editor is easily accessible from your layer when it is added to the Map Viewer Classic, and this option will soon be available in the new Map Viewer as well. If you've created styles for your layer, you can easily keep track of which ones are associated with your original tile layer from the Item Details page as seen on this slide. ArcGIS Online also offers the capability to replace the content of your hosted vector tile layer to keep it up to date with new data. In the next few minutes, I'll go over what Replace Layer is and how it can benefit your organization, along with a brief demo. The Replace Layer option allows you to replace a hosted vector tile layer in your organization with content from a second hosted vector tile layer owned by the same portal member. When you replace a hosted vector tile layer, the content of the layer is replaced with the content of the second layer. Because the item ID and the URL of your layer don't change, the maps and apps that use your layer do not need to be updated to reference a new one. Replace Layer includes two different archive options to choose from, depending on what you want to do with the layers you are replacing. The first option allows you to create an archive of the content in your current layer in a new item. The original item ID and URL of that layer will now contain the content of your replacement layer, and the replacement layer item will be deleted. This scenario is ideal for creating designated layers for archives. The second archive option uses the replacement layer as the archive layer. This means that no new layer items are created. In this case, the content of the vector tile layer is simply swapped between the two layer items. This is ideal for environments that do not want to create a designated layer for archiving. I'll now go through a quick demo of the Replace Layer workflow. In this scenario, I have a basemap containing Toronto roads data. A number of features in my current layer have a road classification of pending. In my updated dataset, the roads have been reclassified as local roads, and I want to see this change reflected in my basemap. You can access the Replace Layer option from the Item Details page of your current hosted vector tile layer. Once in Replace Layer, click on Select Layer to select the layer you want to replace your current layer with. In this case, I'm going to choose the tile layer Toronto Basemap Updates. If the tiling scheme and coordinate system match, there will be a message saying that the Replace Layer is compatible. Then click Next to choose an archive option. On this screen, you'll have an explanation of the different archive options, allowing you to choose which one is best suited for your project. In this case, I'm going to use the replacement layer as the archive. There's also an option to replace the item information. This will update the item information from the replacement layer, including the thumbnail, summary, description, and tags. If you have styles applied to your layer, the next tab allows you to preview how those styles will look like with your updated data edits. In this case, I have two styles applied to my map, style A and style B. If I zoom in to where I've made my data edits, you can swipe between the replacement layer and your current layer. In this case, you'll notice that the roads that were classified as pending with a dark outline are now classified as local roads, and I can see that style update on the map. Then click Next, and you'll be brought to a summary where you can review everything before you commit to replacing your layer. There are a few things to keep in mind when deciding to use Replace Layer. Both the replacement layer and the layer it is replacing must use the same coordinate system and tiling scheme, and both layers must be owned by the same portal member. There are also certain changes that you can make to your Pro Map document that might affect the layer you are replacing. Things like adding or removing a layer to the map, renaming layers, or changing symbology might result in certain layers not drawing as you would expect. The Preview Styles option is very useful for making sure everything is okay in these scenarios before you commit to replacing your layer.
Thanks, Zara. Next, we'll do the Vector Tile Style Editor demo. As Zara mentioned, you can access the Style Editor through the Map Viewer Classic or through the developer site. We expect to have it available through the current Map Viewer in the near future. Through the Map Viewer Classic, click on the Change Style button to access the editor. It'll ask you for a new name of your style as well as a tag. You can also add a summary and click Save Style. This will create a new tile layer in your content. The style editor opens and the layout looks like this, where you have your map on the right-hand side and then your menu and your layers on the left-hand side. You have a set of mini maps at the bottom right. These are the same map style at different scales, level 5, level 9, and level 15. This is useful when you do make changes. You can quickly see how that change affects your map at those different scales without having to pan and zoom all around. You get it within the one dashboard here. If you don't want to have those mini maps, you can click Hide Mini Maps and that'll make them disappear. We'll keep them on just because I think that's useful. The menu down the left-hand side shows you the options that you have. We have the Quick Editor, Edit by Layer Styles, Edit by Color, Edit the icons and patterns, as well as download the current style. That gets you a root.json file that you can make some additional changes directly into the JSON code. This would include reordering layers, removing layers, or changing some filter value settings to make some custom localization boundary changes. The next button is the Reset Style. That'll come in handy if you get too far down the path and don't like what you're seeing. You can hit the Reset Style and it'll take you back to the default. We'll use this a couple times as I show you the different functions in the style editor. There's also an undo and a redo and a contact button to leave some feedback for the developers. We'll go through the quick editor. This option is available for Esri vector basemaps and Esri OpenStreetMap vector basemaps. It won't be a function for your custom vector maps. To restyle your custom maps through the editor, you can use the Edit Layer Styles. But we'll use the quick editor here and we'll show you some examples. One of the first things is a randomize button, as well as some randomized settings that you can use. We'll click on the complementary button. You can see these different groups of layers from the map have taken on the different tint values. And you see what it looks like at the different scales. And you can just continue to click the randomize button and it'll come up with different values. Now you may not like all of the colors that the randomizer chose for you, but maybe you like the majority of them. And if that's the case, you can click on one of these colors, and in this case we'll click on the water and make it more of a traditional blue color, but we'll keep the rest of the palette. In this case we have some pre-defined colors, or you can use this color picker, and the color gets applied in real time. The other thing that you can do across the whole map is change the font from a number of styles that we've loaded into the VTPK. As you can see, there's quite a few options that you can choose from, both serif, sans serif, as well as some script and some more creative styles. We'll pick Orbitron bold, just so you can see the difference. As you can see, that did make the change across the whole map for all text. Down at level 15, there's some road labels that it changed. It changed road shield, cities, water features, countries, all of the text in the map. And these buttons here allow you to make the fonts larger or smaller across the board. It does an incremental enlargement. And same thing with road width. You can across the board reduce the width or increase the width. Now this is a case where we've tried the randomizer, we've tried individual layer color changes, we've changed the font, and maybe we're not happy with what this looks like. So we can reset the style, and that takes you back to the default Esri navigation style that we started from. And in this case, we're going to do it a little more refined, and we'll edit the layer styles. By clicking this button, it gets rid of the quick editor menu, although we still have the breakdown of these groups. And the one thing is that you can expand these groups and see the individual layers and control each individual feature through this setting. In this case, we're going to do Admin 0 Forest or Park. These are national forests or national parks. We'll click on that, and the appearance of this feature, it has two different colors for two different zoom levels. And what it actually means is that at the smaller scale, the national parks and forests look like this color, and at the larger scales, they do change to more of a brighter green. You can keep these settings. You can add more stops and different zoom values to have it change across the zoom levels. Or through this pull down, you can make it a single value across all scales. That's what we're going to do here. And just for the sake of change, we're going to make this more of an orange. You can see right away, all the national level forests and park have changed to this orange color. I'm going to zoom in and see what the labels look like. Now they're still a green color, and we can see that over here where it shows that this is the label, and this is the label for Admin 0 Forest or Park. If you can't find the item in this list, the one thing that you can do is use the crosshairs and click on the map. And that'll pull up the specific layer of the item that you clicked on. And here we got the Admin 0 Forest Park. The color is a dark green, and this is the specific font. We can go in and change the font just for this feature, the National Forest and National Parks. And you can see all the other fonts stayed the same, but the forest and park labels changed. We'll also change the color. We'll make this more of a black. And that changed across the board. You can even see at this level 5 that there's a national park in England, and that's also changed similar to what it has done in the United States because we're making the change across the board. You can also change the font size. We'll bump this up to 15. And as we make the change, it gets reflected in the map. Now you can go through layer by layer, whether you use the individual layers on the left or clicking on the map to make those changes. The choice is up to you. Let's reset the style and go to the next one, edit by color. This edit by color brings up the palette of all the colors in your map. We're going to pick the second item. And that happens to be the land. And the color is this kind of sand color. And it's asking what we want to replace it with. We can pick that and replace it with something pretty strong. Hit apply, and it changes it across the board. Let's reset our style. And we'll zoom out again. Again, with our national parks and forests, the one thing here with the visible zoom range, this feature is showing from level 3 all the way down to the largest scale. If we didn't want it showing at level 3, we can click on this slider bar and move it to the scale level that we want to see it show at the first. So the labels are still showing because all we were doing is changing the fill color. The first zoom level that this will appear at is level 8. We're currently at level 5. So if we zoom in 3 more levels, that's when the national forest now will show. We can make the same change to the national park labels. We'll change that to level 8 as well. So now that both the parks polygon and the labels disappear at level 6, but zooming into level 8, they both reappear. Let's reset our style one more time. In this case, we're going to zoom to Long Beach, California. Now I'm zooming in to level 15, where we get buildings, icons for the metro stations, and that's the next button that we'll pick, Edit Icons and Patterns. And here we have Points of Interest Rail Station. If we click on that, we get a couple buttons where we could download the icon to make some changes, replace the icon, or even delete the icon. In this case, I'm going to replace it with one that I have saved. I have a new station icon. It's a PNG file, and it's just this orange button. Click Replace Icon, and it gets added to our palette, and it also gets added to our map for all instances of that icon. You can do that icon changes with any of the road shields or any of the patterns. So the other thing I'm going to change, again, clicking on it, Point of Interest Rail Station shows that I have my new icon that I created. And we can change the font information. We'll make it all uppercase. And we'll change the color from a gray to a more solid black. And just with a few clicks, we've made that change, both the icons and the font colors. Resetting the style one more time. So really, the number of options to you are almost limitless. You can make as many changes or as few changes to your own custom style as you wish. using the Esri Vector Tile Style Editor. Back to you, Zara, for one last demo on layer blending.
In this next section, I will go over a new tool offered in the map viewer that allows you even more creative control over the appearance of basemap layers in your map. Layer blending is a new property applied to a layer that blends the pixels of two or more layers together to achieve a special effect. There are over 30 different blend modes included in the map viewer, allowing users to explore any number of new color and texture combinations. The layer blending options can be accessed from the Properties tab for any layer in map viewer. They are organized by theme, and there's also a search feature so you can quickly find the one you're looking for. The layer blending menu also includes a link that explains each of the various options in more detail. It's also fast and easy to click through the different blend modes in the menu and automatically see how they affect your map. When you apply a blend mode, there's no change to the data or to the original layers. When you save the map, the blend mode is saved to the map. In the remaining minutes of this presentation, I'll demonstrate just a few of the many layer blending options available. Layer blending can be applied to both operational layers and basemap layers. To access basemap layers in the map viewer, click on the Basemap button in the Contents menu. Here you'll have access to the basemap gallery, as well as the option to click into a current basemap and add your own layers. In this case, I'm going to choose the Modern Antique map from the basemap gallery. Then click in and I can see that the basemap contains two base layers, the Modern Antique Vector Tile layer and the World Hillshed layer. If I click on either layer, I'll open the Properties menu for that layer and have access to the Layer Blending menu. Within the Layer Blending menu, you can scroll through and see the different layer blending options. There's also a link to learn more about each one of them. In this case, I'm going to choose some of the invert blending options. The invert blend modes either cancel out or invert colors, depending on the color of the background layer. These blend modes look for variation between the top and bottom layer. You can see as I select them that the blend mode is automatically updated on the map. And each one allows for sort of a different image. Even after you save the map, you can undo the blend mode by going back and selecting the normal blend mode. In this second example, I have a map with a newspaper-style vector basemap and no other layers. However, the map viewer allows you to change the overall background color of the map and see that reflected in layer blending as well. You can change the background color from the Map Properties tab. Simply click on Enable Background Color and then choose the color you wish to apply. If you scroll out, you can see the color in the background of the map. Now if I go back to the Basemap gallery and click on the Layer Properties menu for the base layer, I can choose the luminosity blend mode and see that the pink is applied as sort of a tint to the base map. Some blend mode options can act as a mask for the contents of the top layer, the bottom layer, or both. In this example, I have a map with the default Esri topographic base map and also a feature layer of the Australia country boundary. If I open the Properties menu and access layer blending for the feature layer, and then apply the destination in blend mode, you can see that it acts as sort of a mask for the base map, giving the appearance that the base map has been clipped to the feature layer. If you've published your own basemap layer, you could also take advantage of multiple blend modes to apply an Esri hillshade to your own basemap layer, while also giving the appearance that the hillshade has been clipped to your basemap. In this case, I have two Toronto vector basemap layers and the Esri World hillshade layer in my basemap. If I apply the destination in blend mode to the first Toronto basemap layer, it gives the appearance that the hillshade has been clipped. If I then apply the multiply blend mode to the second Toronto basemap layer, it allows the hillshade to shine through the basemap. In this final example, we will see how applying certain blend modes can also allow your basemaps to shine underneath feature layers in new ways. This feature layer shows the different California wildland direct protection areas on top of the topographic basemap, but you can't really see the basemap underneath. You could apply transparency, but it somewhat washes out the labels and it's hard to see some of the basemap features. Applying the multiply blend mode instead allows the labels to shine through as well as other basemap features. These are just a few of the many ways that blend modes can be used to enhance your maps. A few final things to keep in mind with blend modes. The order of your layers matters. Applying a blend mode to a layer combines that layer with the layer directly below it. If you adjust the layer visibility or move the layer up and down within the layer list, the combination of layers being blended could change. You can also take advantage of group layers when using blend modes and apply the blend mode to the entire group layer. This will blend all layers in a group with another layer outside the group that is below it. And remember, because you can quickly revert back and remove the blend mode, there's no risk to exploring how different options look.